coins not with paper but with precious metal. Before coins, trade was a complicated affair. People used barter, exchanging goods like barley, cattle, or wine directly for other items. This system was often inefficient. Imagine for a moment trying to trade a large ox for a small amount of salt. To solve this, society started using weighed amounts of precious metals like gold and silver. This was better, but each piece of metal had to be weighed and tested for purity during every transaction. This process was slow and required special scales and expertise, making everyday commerce a challenge for ordinary people. The world was ready for a simpler, more trustworthy form of currency. The true revolution in commerce occurred around the 7th century BC in the Kingdom of Lydia, located in what is now Western Turkey. The Lydians were actually the first to create what we would recognize as coins. They took small bean-shaped lumps of a naturally occurring alloy of gold and silver called electrum and stamped them with an official mark. This mark, often depicting a lion or a bull, served as a guarantee from the ruler. It certified both the weight and the purity of the metal. No longer did a merchant need to carry scales. The king's stamp was his word, and this innovation transformed trade, making it faster, easier, and more accessible to everyone. The idea of coinage quickly spread from Lydia to the neighboring Greek city-states of Ionia, located on the Anatolian coast. These early Greek coins were also made of electrum and were at first quite crude. They often featured simple geometric patterns, or the symbol of the issuing city. For example, the city of Phocaea used a seal, the animal, as its emblem. These first coins were not used for buying daily bread, but were more likely for large payments, such as paying soldiers, funding public works, or conducting major trade deals. The concept of a standardized, state-guaranteed unit of value was a powerful one, and it laid the foundation for the economic flourishing of the Greek world. As the concept matured, Greek city-states began to refine both the production and the artistry of their coins. The island of Aegina, a major maritime power, was one of the first places in mainland Greece to mint its own coins, choosing pure silver instead of electrum. Their famous turtles were thick, chunky silver coins stamped with the image of a sea turtle, a symbol of their naval dominance. This shift from electrum to silver was significant. Silver was more abundant than gold and more valuable than bronze, making it the perfect metal for a wide range of transactions. The introduction of silver coinage by Aegina marked a new chapter, setting the stage for the classical age of Greek numismatics. While electrum was the metal of the first coins, silver quickly became the backbone of the ancient Greek economy. Silver was mined in various locations throughout the Greek world, most famously at the Laurian mines near Athens. This abundance made it the ideal material for the standard coin of trade, the drachma, and its various denominations. The silver drachma was a coin of substantial value, roughly equivalent to a day's wage for a skilled worker or a soldier. This made it suitable for many transactions, from paying taxes to hiring mercenaries. The purity of the silver was a point of pride for issuing cities, and coins like the Athenian tetradrachm became famous for their high-quality metal. Gold coins, on the other hand, were much rarer in the early Greek world. Gold was seen as a metal for kings, gods, and extraordinary circumstances. City-states would typically only mint gold coins during times of extreme need, such as a major war, when large sums of money were required quickly. For example, Athens issued emergency gold staters during the final desperate years of the Peloponnesian War. It was not until Philip II of Macedon, the father of Alexander the Great, gained control of the rich gold mines of Mount Pangaean that gold coinage became more widespread. His gold staters, featuring the head of the god Apollo, became a new international standard. At the other end of the value spectrum was bronze. Bronze coins were introduced later, around the end of the 5th century BC. They were the small change of the ancient world used for everyday purchases in the marketplace or agora. With bronze coins, a person could buy a loaf of bread, some vegetables, or a cup of wine without having to use a more valuable silver coin. This made commerce much more convenient for the average citizen. Bronze coins often featured designs similar to their silver counterparts, but were produced in much larger quantities. Their introduction completed the monetary system, creating a full range of denominations that could facilitate any type of economic exchange, from the grandest state payment to the smallest daily purchase. The relationship between these three metals, gold, silver and bronze, was carefully managed. The value of gold coins was typically set at a fixed ratio to silver, often around 10 or 12 silver coins to one gold coin of the same weight. This created a stable and predictable system. A person knew that their silver drachmas and their bronze obols had a clear relationship to each other and to the high-value gold status. This sophisticated multi-metal system allowed the Greek economy to flourish. It was a flexible and robust framework that could support both local markets and vast international trade networks, a testament to the financial ingenuity of the ancient Greeks. In a world of independent and fiercely proud city-states, or polis, coinage became a powerful form of civic identity. Each polis minted coins with its own unique symbols, effectively turning each piece of money into a small metal billboard, advertising its power, culture, and patron deities. The most famous of all ancient coins is undoubtedly the Athenian tetradrachm, often simply called the owl. First minted in the late 6th century BC, these thick silver coins bore the helmeted head of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and the city's protector, on the obverse. On the reverse was her sacred animal, the owl, alongside an olive sprig and the letters Athi, an abbreviation for of the Athenians. The Athenian owl was more than just money. It was a symbol of Athenian democracy, naval power, and cultural supremacy. The silver came from Athens' own Laurian mines, which gave the city immense wealth and funded its powerful navy and grand building projects like the Parthenon. The coins were renowned throughout the Mediterranean for their high-quality silver and consistent weight. They were trusted everywhere, from Egypt to Persia, becoming the first truly international currency, much like the US dollar is today. This widespread acceptance made Athens the financial center of the ancient world. The owls were so trusted that their design was kept almost unchanged for centuries, a testament to their success. Another major commercial power, Corinth, also produced a highly influential coin, the silver stater, nicknamed the Colt or Pegasus. Located on a strategic isthmus connecting mainland Greece to the Peloponnese, Corinth controlled key trade routes. Its coins reflected its commercial and maritime character. The obverse of the Corinthian stater always featured Pegasus, the mythical winged horse who was said to have been tamed by the Corinthian hero Bellerophon. The reverse typically showed the head of a goddess, often Aphrodite or Athena, wearing a Corinthian-style helmet. Below Pegasus was the archaic letter Copper for Corinth. Just as Athens had its owls, Corinth spread its Pegasi across the trading world. The city founded numerous colonies, such as Syracuse in Sicily and Corcyra, and these colonies often minted their own versions of the Pegasus staters. This created a large, unified currency zone that facilitated trade throughout the Western Mediterranean. For an ancient merchant, seeing a coin with Pegasus on it was a sign of familiar, reliable money. The distinct designs of Athenian and Corinthian coins show how coinage was not just an economic tool, but also a medium for projecting a city's identity, mythology, and influence across the ancient world. The conquests of Alexander the Great in the 4th century BC fundamentally changed the Greek world, and its coinage along with it. As Alexander marched his armies from Greece to India, he established a vast empire. To manage this empire, pay his massive army, and foster a unified economy, he implemented a standardized and universal currency. He continued and expanded upon the coinage system of his father, Philip II, issuing enormous quantities of silver and gold coins from mints scattered across his new territories. This was the first time that a single currency was used over such a vast geographical area, stretching across 3 continents. The designs of Alexander's coins were a masterclass in political propaganda. Instead of the traditional city symbols, his coins featured images that promoted his own power and divine connection. The standard silver tetradrachm showed the head of the hero Heracles, or Hercules, wearing a lion skin headdress on the obverse. Alexander claimed descent from Heracles, so this image directly linked him to the greatest of all Greek heroes. The reverse depicted the supreme god Zeus, seated on a throne holding an eagle and a scepter, with the inscription Alexandru, meaning of Alexander. This powerful combination of hero and god sent a clear message. Alexander's rule was sanctioned by divine authority. Alexander's gold statues carried a similar message of power. They featured the head of the goddess Athena on the obverse and a standing figure of Nike, the goddess of victory, on the reverse. These coins, minted in huge numbers, were used to pay his soldiers and finance his campaigns. After Alexander's death in 323 BC, his empire was divided among his generals, who founded their own Hellenistic kingdoms. These new rulers, known as the Diadochi or successors, initially continued to mint coins in Alexander's name and with his designs, as his currency was the most trusted in the world. For decades, coins bearing the name of a long-dead Alexander were still being produced. Eventually, the Hellenistic kings began to place their own portraits on their coins, a radical and important innovation. While Alexander had used the guise of Heracles, his successors, like Ptolemy I of Egypt, put their own realistic human faces on their currency. This was a significant break from the classical Greek tradition of using only gods or mythological figures. It established the tradition of portraiture on coinage, which has remained a standard feature of money to this day. A coin with a ruler's portrait was a powerful tool, circulating their image and claim to power to every corner of their kingdom. This Hellenistic practice was later adopted by the Romans and has influenced coin design ever since. The rise of Rome marked the end of Greek political independence and, well, this transition was reflected in the region's coinage. After the final conquest of Greece in 146 BC, the Romans gradually asserted their control over the monetary system. At first, many Greek cities were allowed to continue minting their own local bronze coins for small everyday transactions. These coins, often called provincial or Greek imperial coinage, still used Greek inscriptions and familiar local motifs, such as a city's patron deity or a famous statue. This was a practical concession by the Romans, allowing local economies to function smoothly while still acknowledging Roman authority. However, for larger transactions and for paying taxes to Rome, the currency of the empire was required. The Roman silver denarius and later the aureus, gold, and sestertius, brass, became the dominant coins circulating in Greece. The famous Athenian owls, which had dominated Mediterranean trade for centuries, ceased to be minted. In their place came coins bearing the portraits of Roman emperors. For the people of Greece, this change was a constant, tangible reminder of their subject status. The face of a distant emperor in Rome was now in their hands and purses, replacing the familiar images of Athena and Pegasus. The designs of these provincial coins are honestly fascinating because they represent a blend of two cultures. A city like Corinth might issue a coin with the portrait of Emperor Nero on the obverse, clearly showing its allegiance to Rome. But the reverse might depict Bellerophon taming Pegasus, a classic Corinthian mythological scene. This created a hybrid coinage that satisfied both local pride and imperial authority. These coins are an invaluable historical resource, as they often depict local landmarks, temples, and statues that have long since vanished, giving us a glimpse into the civic life of Greek cities under Roman rule. Over time, as the Roman Empire became more centralized, the local mints were gradually shut down. By the late 3rd century AD, during the reign of Emperor Diocletian, A series of monetary reforms standardized the coinage across the entire empire. From that point on, the currency used in Greece was essentially identical to that used in Britain, Spain, or Syria. The long and distinct history of autonomous Greek coinage had come to an end. The monetary system was now fully Roman, paving the way for the next great transformation that would emerge from the ashes of the Western Roman Empire, the rise of Byzantium. When the Roman Empire was formally divided in the 4th century AD, the eastern half, with its capital at Constantinople, flourished into what we now call the Byzantine Empire. This new empire was Roman in its laws and administration, but Greek in its language and culture, and Christian in its religion. This unique identity was perfectly captured in its coinage. The founder of Constantinople, Constantine the Great, reformed the monetary system, introducing a new gold coin called the solidus. This coin was of exceptional purity and stable weight, and it would become the dominant gold coin of the Mediterranean world for over 700 years, a feat of stability unmatched in history. Early Byzantine coins continued the Roman tradition of realistic imperial portraits. However, a major shift occurred as Christianity became the state religion. Pagan symbols were replaced with Christian ones. The cross, the chi rho, which are the first 2 letters of Christ's name in Greek, and eventually images of Christ, the Virgin Mary, and saints, became standard features. The emperor was no longer depicted as a god or a military conqueror in the Roman sense, but as God's chosen regent on earth. Often the emperor would be shown holding a cross or a globus cruciger, that's an orb topped with a cross, symbolizing his Christian authority over the world. A revolutionary moment in numismatic history occurred under Emperor Justinian II in the late 7th century. For the first time ever, a portrait of Jesus Christ was placed on the obverse of a coin, the most prominent position. The emperor's own portrait was moved to the reverse. This was a powerful statement, declaring that Christ was the true authority and the emperor was merely his servant. This coin, with its depiction of Christ Pantocrator, or ruler of all, set a precedent for religious imagery on coinage that would influence Christian kingdoms throughout the Middle Ages. The inscriptions also shifted from Latin to Greek, further cementing the Hellenic character of the empire. As the Byzantine Empire faced centuries of warfare and economic decline, the quality of its coinage began to suffer. The once pure gold solidus, now often called the numisma, was progressively debased with cheaper metals. The coins also changed shape, becoming thinner, broader, and often cup-shaped, a form known as cyphate. The reasons for this unusual shape are still debated by historians. It may have made them easier to stack or harder to counterfeit. By the time Constantinople fell to the Crusaders in 1204, the once mighty Byzantine currency was a shadow of its former self, a metallic reflection of a crumbling empire. After the sack of Constantinople in 1204, the Byzantine Empire fractured and Greece was carved up into a patchwork of small states ruled by Western European knights, primarily from France and Italy. This period is known as the Franco-Cratia, or rule of the Franks. The new rulers brought their own feudal European coinage traditions with them. They minted silver and billon, which is a low-grade silver alloy, coins called deniers or tournesals, modelled on the contemporary coins of France. These coins typically featured a cross on one side and a castle or gate design, representing the ruler's dominion on the other. Inscriptions were in Latin, not Greek. This period was a complex and confusing time for currency in Greece. Byzantine coins still circulated alongside the new Frankish coins, as well as Venetian ducats and other Italian currencies brought by maritime traders. The Venetian Republic in particular became a dominant power in the region, controlling key ports and islands. The Venetian gold ducat and silver grosso were highly trusted and widely used, becoming a de facto international currency in the Aegean. For a person living in Greece during the 13th or 14th century, their purse might contain a mix of debased Byzantine cyphates, Frankish tournezels, and pristine Venetian ducats, a reflection of the fragmented political landscape. By the 15th century, a new power was rising in the east, the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans gradually conquered the Frankish and remaining Byzantine territories, and by the end of the century, nearly all of Greece was under their control. With Ottoman rule came a new monetary system. The primary coins were the silver akçe, the larger para, and the gold sultani. These coins followed Islamic tradition, which generally forbade the use of human portraits. Instead, they were decorated with elegant Arabic calligraphy, featuring the Sultan's name, his titles, and the date and location of the mint in a design known as the tughra. For nearly 400 years, Ottoman currency was the law of the land in Greece. The monetary system was complex, with mints in Constantinople, Cairo, and other major cities producing coins for the vast empire. The value of these coins could fluctuate, and the quality of the silver often declined, especially during times of political instability. The people of Greece used these Ottoman coins for all their daily needs, from paying taxes to the Sultan's government to buying goods in the local market. While foreign coins, especially the large silver thalers from Austria and Spain, also circulated, the akçe and para were the everyday money for generations of Greeks living under Ottoman rule. The Greek War of Independence, which started in 1821, wasn't just a military fight, it was also a battle for what it meant to be Greek. As the revolutionaries began to set up a temporary government, they knew how important it was to create their own national money. So, in 1828, the first leader of the new Greek state, Ioannis Kapodistrias, introduced the very first modern Greek coin, the phoenix. This silver coin was full of meaning. On one side, it showed a phoenix rising from flames. This is a powerful old idea about being reborn and starting fresh, which perfectly showed how Greece was emerging after hundreds of years of being ruled by others. Above the phoenix was a cross, showing the country's Christian faith. The other side of the phoenix coin showed its value, one phoenix, inside a wreath made of olive and laurel branches, which stand for peace and victory. The words around the edge said Elleniki Politeia, or Hellenic state, and included the date. The phoenix was divided into 100 lepta, and smaller copper coins were made for the lepton amounts. Bringing in the phoenix was a big statement that Greece was its own country. It replaced the confusing mix of Ottoman and European money with one clear national currency. It was a real sign that Greece was once again an independent nation, in charge of its own future and its own money. After Kapodistrias was killed, and a king, Otto of Bavaria, took over, the money was changed again in 1832. The phoenix was replaced by a new currency that purposely looked back to ancient Greece, the drachma. The name itself was a strong link to the nation's amazing past. The new silver drachma was made to be worth the same as the old phoenix. The first drachma coins showed a picture of the young King Otto on one side, and the new royal symbol of Greece on the other, along with the value and date. This set a new pattern for Greek coins that would last for over 100 years, with the king's picture on the front. Throughout the 1800s and early 1900s, the drachma changed many times, showing the wild history of modern Greece. Pictures of different kings, George I, Constantine I, George II, appeared on the coins. The country joined the Latin Monetary Union in 1868, which meant the drachma's value matched the French franc and other European currencies. Coins were made of gold, silver, and copper, with designs that celebrated the nation's classical history and royal family. The drachma was more than just money. It was a continuous thread connecting the modern Greek kingdom to its ancient roots, a symbol of national pride that had been reborn with the nation itself. The 20th century was a tumultuous period for Greece and its drachma. The country endured the Balkan Wars, 2 world wars, a devastating civil war, and periods of political instability, including a military dictatorship. from 1967 to 1974. These events had a profound impact on the currency. During times of war and economic crisis, severe inflation took hold, and the value of the drachma plummeted. Silver and gold coins disappeared from circulation, replaced by coins made of cheaper metals like aluminum and cupro-nickel. The designs also changed to reflect the political realities of the time. During the monarchy, coins featured the king's portrait. After the monarchy was abolished in 1974, the coins began to feature prominent figures from Greek history. The post-dictatorship era, known as the Third Hellenic Republic, saw a new series of coins that celebrated Greece's democratic and cultural heritage. Instead of kings, the coins depicted heroes of the War of Independence like Konstantinos Kanaris, philosophers like Democritus and Aristotle, and political leaders like Eleftherios Venizelos. These designs were a conscious effort to reconnect the currency with the nation's democratic ideals and intellectual achievements. The drachma of the late 20th century became a pocket-sized gallery of Greek history, celebrating the figures who shaped the nation's long and storied past, from ancient philosophy to modern statecraft. The most significant change in Greece's long monetary history came on January 1, 2002, when the country, as a member of the European Union, adopted the euro. After more than 2,500 years, the drachma was retired. This was a monumental transition, integrating Greece into a larger European economic and monetary system. While the banknotes are the same across all Eurozone countries, the coins have a common European design on one side and a unique national design on the other. This allowed Greece to continue the tradition of using coins to express its national identity, even while sharing a currency with its neighbors. Greece's national euro coin designs are a beautiful tribute to its entire history. The €1 coin features the ancient Athenian owl, a direct link to the classical tetradrachm. The €2 coin depicts the myth of the abduction of Europa, the figure for whom the continent is named. Other coins showcase a Byzantine droman warship, a modern sea tanker, and portraits of historical figures like Ioannis Kapodistrias and Rigas Feraios. In this way, the coins in the pockets of Greeks today tell a story that stretches from the age of myth to the modern globalized world. They are a fitting conclusion to a numismatic history that is arguably the richest and most influential the world has ever known.